Janine Wagner can't believe her grown daughter Phoenix can now eat apples and a lot of other fruit. Phoenix used to suffer severe problems after only one bite of the sweet fruit.
Her mouth would break out and was painful, and she couldn't eat them at all.
Phoenix found out about the Heights of Health and decided to try to clear her own allergies before attempting to help her son.
We try to figure out what those underlying imbalances are.
Practitioners at the Natural Health Care Clinic first try to figure out what's causing the problems by using this device. They explain it was developed for NASA to figure out what the rocks on the moon are made of, but brilliant researchers tweaked it to read the human body.
What it does is it scans for frequencies. So everything resonates at its own unique frequency, and that's very supported by science. A diamond resonates at a different frequency than a virus would resonate, or a different frequency than wood would resonate. And what we're doing is we're just scanning the body for resonant frequencies, and it just gives us an idea of what we can do. It's not a tool, it's not a diagnostic tool by any means. It's just a tool to help give us some ideas of weaknesses in the body and what we can do to support the body. It's a really amazing system that just helps give us ideas of imbalances in the body, because somebody could come to us, and this is very typical, and say, I'm just tired. I'm tired all the time. I've had all my blood tests done. Everything is fine. There's nothing that they can figure out is going on in my body, but there's something wrong. I know it. And it could be a number of different things. So I couldn't just say, oh, well, you need to take B6 and this herb and that and change this diet, because it could be very different.
Phoenix says it's that procedure and all natural supplements that made her be able to eat fruit again.
We tested it, and I was sitting there, I watched her do it. She ate an apple, nothing happened.
For the first time in 10 years.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The family decided they'd turn their attention to Wyatt since it worked so well with Phoenix. They started with his simple problems first, like an allergy to tomatoes and chlorine. When he swam, he'd get hives all over his body.
Almost like a burn type rash on him, you know, from what? Hives.
Janine says the treatment worked. No more rash, and he could finally eat tomatoes without getting sick. Then they started concentrating on Wyatt's peanut allergy.
When you're desperate, you'll do anything. So we said, okay, we'll try that. Why not? And it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. We have all the confidence in the world that he's going to be completely cured of this and healed from this peanut allergy.
The owner of Heights of Health says they never use the word cure at their clinic and caution clients to be careful with conditions that cause anaphylactic shock. And Janine says she certainly understands that.
We would never, ever, ever say we can get rid of an anaphylactic reaction. It's just not, it's not right to say that, because you never know, and that's just way too risky and for that child or adult.
Nevertheless, medical tests at a major hospital show a huge difference after only one treatment at the Heights of Health. Wyatt's risk on the anaphylactic scale dropped dramatically after one treatment.
It went from 15.9 to 1. 1.24, which is dramatic.
Yeah. Janine says their goal isn't to allow Wyatt to someday eat a peanut butter sandwich. Her family just wants to be able to rest easy, knowing Wyatt's life isn't on the line every time peanuts are in the same room.
How thankful are you for alternative health care?
It's wonderful. I have to say I've really become a believer.
A local woman became allergic to every food on earth except for 2 fruits. As you can only imagine, this made life miserable, and she had little hope in her life. That is, until she went to the Heights of Health in Houston for that unique technique we showed you during our 7 o'clock hour this morning.
It's hard to explain. I just tell them that they have an allergy elimination. It sounds crazy, but it works.
One of Jody's practitioners at the Heights of Health is thrilled with their results, but not surprised since they see similar results every day.
She was completely exhausted. She had no energy for her son. She had no energy for her husband. She was always in pain. She had a lot of digestive issues. She had swelling in her legs and her feet. They're doing things now that she was never able to do before because she didn't have the energy. She just didn't feel good. And a lot of us can relate to that.
So you got your life back.
Yes, I got my life back. My husband got his wife back.
The Heights of Health Clinic helps patients with everything from allergies to headaches to hormones and even autoimmune conditions. This is
what you're going to be dealing with for the rest of your life. You're going to be in and out of bed for the rest of your life. You'll never be able to hold down a job.
It was a diagnosis she couldn't live with. Her resolve for a better life was shared by others.
I'd been to many other medical doctors, and whereas the symptoms were treated, but the root cause, it just never went away. And I always had the question, why am I going through this?
They turned to alternative medicine with dramatic results.
What we want to do is just empower our clients. We want to educate them and empower them so they can take control of their own health and realize that they're supposed to be well, that we're supposed to be thriving.
How thankful are you for alternative healthcare?
It's wonderful. I have to say I've really become a believer.
Morning News Extra, reaching new heights of health. What do you do when you've run out of options and can't find medical help? We found a clinic specializing in alternative health care here in Houston. Heights of Health is helping patients with everything from heart issues to hormones to headaches and just about everything in between. We found its history to be so interesting, we wanted to first share how this natural care center came about. It all started in a woman's home here in Houston, but this naturopath expanded her small business into a thriving center by turning several of her clients into colleagues.
You helped me so much as far as my health and stuff like that. You know, my allergies have cleared up so much.
Tracy Southwick is a doctor of natural medicine and founder of the Heights of Health, a small bungalow tucked into the Heights area of Houston. She got into this business because of her own health issues.
I was very young. I was in my early 20s and went from doctor to doctor, trying to figure out what was going on, why I couldn't get out of bed, why I was so tired, why I was hurting all over. And finally, an infectious disease doctor actually figured out that I had a virus and essentially said to me, this is what you're going to be dealing with for the rest of your life. You're going to be in and out of bed for the rest of your life. You'll never be able to hold down a job. I can give you an antidepressant, and that's about it.
Tracy was told she had Epstein-Barr virus and, as you heard, got that prescription for a bleak future. That's hard for a young bride to take. She knew she wasn't suffering from depression, though admits her diagnosis couldn't help but make her depressed. That is, until she just happened into a health food store. Of all places, she found her answers. A worker said they suspected she suffered from food sensitivities and candida or yeast overgrowth, a common problem from taking antibiotics. They offered simple suggestions for her to at least try.
So you radically changed your diet, and what happened?
So I radically changed my diet, started taking the supplements. Within 2 weeks I was out of bed. And I was floored, and my whole family was floored. Everybody's going, what's going on? You know, was this all in her brain? But it really wasn't. I just had to change the fuel that I was giving to my body and give my body the right nutrients it needed to do the healing that it could do.
This prompted Tracy to learn even more about natural health.
These are some wonderful minerals that
She began taking alternative healthcare courses. She also started looking for ways to help relieve food allergies because her daughter was so allergic to milk.
That's where my focus kind of became turned towards allergies.
When Tracy figured out a new technique to help others, she wanted everyone who suffered like her family to benefit.
I felt like I found it. This is what I was supposed to do in life. So about a year later, I opened up a health food store in Fredericksburg. I had that for several years. I had a radio show out there, loved it. It was wonderful, and circumstances changed in my life, and so I ended up moving back home to Houston, where I was raised. Started seeing clients out of my home.
Word of mouth spread quickly, and it grew so big, Tracy opened the Heights of Health. She handpicked several of her clients to work for her. She knew they'd be a perfect fit because they had experienced dramatic results from her help.
That are so passionate about what they're doing, and they're so smart and so knowledgeable and so gifted.
Stacey Betzing is most impressed with Tracy's philosophy that you have to find the root of the problem, not just treat the symptoms.
I'd been to many other medical doctors, and whereas the symptoms were treated, but the root cause, it just never went away. And I always had the question, why am I going through this? Why am I having postpartum depression? Why is my thyroid not working? And this really gave me answers, and my body really recovered from it.
Tracy also helped relieve Stacey of her severe food allergies.
When I first came to Tracy, I was allergic to almost everything. underneath the moon, and a lot of seasonal allergies.
Now Stacy says she's allergy-free.
Tell me about your journey.
Sonia Fote Garcia also shares a dramatic story.
My journey actually started almost 20 years ago. My mom died of cancer when I was 22, so she inspired me to get into taking care of my own health and being proactive about my own health, and I started researching and gathering information and really took interest and became passionate about natural health.
Then she lost her dad and her health began to decline. Sonia suffered from headaches, fatigue, adrenal exhaustion, and even tingling in her arms and legs.
Doctors couldn't figure anything out. They ran all types of tests and really just couldn't give me any information. And then I was introduced to another naturopath that was wonderful, and later was introduced to Tracy Southwick, who is the owner of Heights of Health.
Sonia, though, quickly got those problems under control through Tracy's care.
Was passionate about how wonderful I was feeling and wanted to share that with so many other people.
Now Sonia specializes in many areas, including children's problems.
Behavioral issues, ADD, even hormones, digestive health, autoimmune issues. Clearing those things, helping the body get stronger, taking the load off the immune system, makes a big difference.
Well, anything that I can do to help you along.
All of the workers here say it's a relief to hear clients say their health is on an incline, which makes them feel like they're reaching new heights in the heights.
It's a safe haven where a group of women are very passionate about what we do, and we want to help as many people as we can. And we're here to listen, and we're here to help and guide. What we want to do is just empower our clients. We want to educate them and empower them so they can take control of their own health and realize that they're supposed to be well, that we're supposed to be thriving, and we're supposed to be happy, and it's possible.
Kathy Burden is a client of Heights of Health. Good morning to you, and thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having
First of
me.
all, tell me what you were diagnosed with when you first started going to the Heights of Health.
I had latex allergy, type 1 and type 4. Type 1 is an anaphylaxis response. I was a breast cancer survivor, and I had been diagnosed with myotonic muscular dystrophy.
How the ladies at Heights of Health describe you when you first came there is they said you could barely get in the door. You hobbled in, you had leg braces, you had arm braces, you were on 5 medications. You walked in here perfectly this morning, no
Yes,
braces,
I did.
and you're on no medications now.
No medications. I take supplements to help nourish my body, but no prescription drugs.
How dramatic of a life change has this been for you?
It's been extremely dramatic. We've been able to do things with our children and our grandchildren that I couldn't do before.
One thing that I think is particularly interesting in your case is the fact that your medical doctor told you, I really think that we're at the end of the ropes with Western medicine. It can't help you. You need to seek alternative care. So your medical doctor is the one who suggested you seek other care.
Yes, she did. We had been trying to figure out how I could lose the weight that I had gained from my cancer medication. I had gained 65 pounds, and I was a compliant patient, and I wasn't dropping any weight. So she decided that this was the route that I needed to go.
Let's walk our viewers a little bit through how you were treated there, because they may just be scratching their head and say, okay, how did you go from having this disease to doing so well today? So from what I understand, they have technology, and we have some video that we can show you to help walk you through this, that you see right here. They're the little paddles that you hold in your hand. That was technology that was created for NASA, for them to analyze moon rocks. However, these brilliant scientists tweaked it to read our human body. That way they can kind of get an idea of what's going on in the body. And then there's just a simple, I understand, non-invasive technique they use that helps clear the bodies of some of these problems.
Yes, I was a little bit skeptical at first because it was something I had never experienced before, but it is non-invasive. You hold a vial of the product or material that you're allergic to, and they clear you of this allergy. And amazingly enough, it started working immediately, and so as we progressed week by week, I got better and better.
When you're talking about an anaphylactic reaction to something like latex, your life is on the line at any given moment when that product comes into the room with you. Have you been around latex now? Do you still have those fears? I mean, she said that they will never say they can clear an anaphylactic because they have to be very careful with that. But how is your comfort zone around latex now?
My comfort zone is much better. I couldn't go anywhere without somebody going with me for fear that I would have an anaphylaxis reaction. The 911 would be called, the EMS would show up and put their latex gloves on. So I always had accompaniment with me, but now I can go places. I know the places to avoid, and I feel safe and I feel okay now.
You also had a CPAP machine before you went to the Heights of Health, and you no longer have to use that as well?
Use it, yes.
So you've had just some major differences in your life. Your quality of life must be so much better.
It's a lot better. We're enjoying life, we're enjoying our grandchildren. And
I talked to and interviewed your doctor who suggested that you seek other care, Dr. Ugolini. She was an incredible woman. We're going to hear from her in just a moment. But what she wants to happen with procedures like you've been through is she wants there to be medical, absolute results to show that this works. And you're trying to start a study with the owner of Heights of Health to make that happen?
Tracy and I have been working with Methodist, the muscular dystrophy group, trying to get a study put together. We're trying to get funding. We think we're at the very end of this procedure and that we'll be able to do the study. So there's great things on the horizon.
Sure, and when something like that happens and it becomes more accepted in all medical fields, don't you think that even more people can be helped from this, because people won't be scratching their heads and say, nah, there's no way that could work? Absolutely.
I think that the human body is geared to heal itself, but your body has to have a start. And when I went to see Tracy at first, I was so sick that Western medicine had exhausted all hopes. When I got to Tracy, the first thing she told me was that I needed to be hydrated. I needed to have proper nutrition, and I thought I was doing all of these things to the best of my ability, but as she educated me and showed me the things that I needed to change or improve, my health began to rapidly improve.
And that's another thing that your medical doctor, Dr. Ugolini, said, that she thinks that happens a lot when people start to seek alternative health care, that they also start to treat their bodies better in a way that perhaps they weren't before. Congratulations on your big change in your health. Keep up the good work, and I wish you continued good health.
It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. We have all the confidence in the world that he's going to be completely cured of this and healed from this peanut allergy.
Welcome back. Holly Hudley thought she would never be able to have a baby, having suffered from polycystic ovary syndrome since she was a teenager. Good morning to you, and thanks for sharing your story with us this morning. Let's go back in your history and talk a little bit about your symptoms and what was going on and why it would be so difficult for you to get pregnant.
When I was about 15 or 16, I basically stopped having periods, and for the next probably 7 years, sometimes had one a year, maybe 2 a year. And I was treated with different hormones, different steroids actually, and nothing ever really kind of prompted my body to really keep having a period.
And you were never ovulating either.
No, I was not ovulating.
So that's makes it impossible to get pregnant.
Yep.
What were your doctors telling you? What were your hopes of getting pregnant at that time?
Oh, when I was a teenager, I didn't think about, I knew I wanted to be a mom someday, but I kind of, there's two stories in this. When I was younger, I had always known I wanted to adopt, so that was an easy path for me, but I also knew that I wanted to be a mom in some other capacity, and it just led me towards this treating the symptoms, treating the hormone issues that never really subsided.
So let's talk about what happened then. What was the turning point for you? When did you feel like your body started healing? You went to the Heights of Health?
I did, yeah. I was on different medications for about 15 years, and then I was 30, and I just kind of cut every traditional medicine piece out and tried going to Heights of Health, and within 5 months, I was pregnant.
My goodness, that must have been a nice change. So did your cycle start getting right on track, or what happened with it?
Within the first 2 to 3 months of being seen by Tracy and Sonia, I did have periods.
For the first time?
Not for the first time. I had been on
a regular
birth
basis.
control pill, which gives you periods, but it doesn't really address the ovulating issue or the necessarily the hormone balancing issue. It just is a Band-Aid for what my body needed at the time. And And then when I found Tracy and Sonia, it was really, I wanted my body to be able to do it on its own without having the supplement.
And so you had a baby.
I did.
And then you had another baby.
I did.
And then you adopted a baby.
I did.
You were very busy.
I have been very busy.
So you feel like you just got your life back on track?
I feel like I got a real dream. I mean, just, my 2 biological children are real miracles.
The big concern for a lot of people with alternative care or complementary medicine, however which way you look at it, because they do suggest that you work with a doctor as well there, is the fact that you do have to pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
But did you find that every dollar you spent on your health was worth it?
And when you think about, especially with infertility, women, my path was, my doctor or an endocrinologist had me on the path of like metformin to Clomid to IVF to, that was the path he was getting ready to go down. And I said, I don't want to do that path. IVF is around $10,000. I didn't spend that much at Heights of Health. Yeah. For sure.
Right.
So it was worth it.
Yeah, so it made a big difference in your life. And how much do those little kiddos mean to you now?
An amazing amount. I mean, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I love being with them. I am amazed that they're here. So
do you feel like they are here because of alternative health care?
I definitely feel like that was a big push. Yeah, absolutely. A big push.
Well, congratulations to you on your big turnaround in your health. And
Thanks.
And now I understand that you not only have used them for infertility, but you call on them for just everyday colds for the kids.
I kind of jokingly say to Sonia that they're my primary care people. I mean, I call them for almost every ailment that my family has. And I think working with them has actually led me towards pursuing my own certification in alternative medicine.
How interesting. Well, you'll have to tell us when that happens. We'd love to follow you and see how that goes, Holly. Good to talk to you. Congratulations again on those beautiful babies. We've talked to several local ladies who benefited from alternative health care. They say their results are dramatic, and they want to spread the word about how they got their lives back on track.
We'll go. Hi.
Pam Roussel is a sales manager and exercise instructor at the Houstonian Club and Spa. She may look muscular, but not too long ago, she wasn't feeling too strong.
I was having some serious hormonal issues, and going to Heights of Health really changed all of that by correcting some imbalances and allergies, and now I can actually feel normal again.
Well, that's big with your job.
Huge.
Because I'm sure that you have to be in a really healthy state to do what you do.
Right, and just to function on an optimal level.
Pam says her treatment was simple.
Through cleanses and supplementation, got everything balanced again.
That's huge since she was suffering from all the symptoms that mimicked uterine fibroids, which led to a lot of pain, not to mention inconvenience.
I'm paying out of pocket for it. But to me, it's worth it because I'm getting results and I'm not having to rely on drugs.
You want to go get it?
Laura was seeking help for something many people can relate to, fatigue. Not just being tired in the morning or late at night, but exhaustion all of the time.
Good girl. I saw so many different doctors prior to finding Heights of Health who just didn't quite get me where I needed to be. And it was when my youngest went to kindergarten, I decided to spend a year focusing on myself. And that's when I went to the Heights of Health and started going weekly. And there, they were able to help me, pull me out of this day-to-day fatigue. And the sad thing about adrenal fatigue is that you're so tired during the day, and then when you want to go to bed at night, it's hard to sleep.
She underwent testing and a simple procedure at the clinic called energetic cellular release to help make her body stronger. It worked. She says her energy is boosted tenfold. Laura says since the Heights of Health was the first clinic to ever help her feel better and have more energy at sea level, she asked if they could help her altitude problems.
Sure enough, she could. So easy. The very next time I went, slept all night. And still do. No problems whatsoever.
Laura didn't suffer typical altitude sickness, but awful cases of insomnia during her many visits to Colorado every year.
I would get there and I would lie awake all night long, and sometimes for days. You know, when you don't sleep, you're just in a bad mood, and it's nice to feel rested.
And did you actually get altitude sickness as well besides not being able to sleep?
Occasionally, but I would say my #1 concern was sleep. I would just lay there all night.
Laura says the clinic gave her an all-natural supplement. She takes it several weeks before her trip each time.
It is absolutely amazing what they've been able to do for me.
Laura and Pam say they're both comforted by the genuine concern they get through their alternative care. They're relieved that when every door seemed to shut and there was no medical answer, they found another option out there.
If you'd like to improve your overall health, Tracy Wakefield Southwick, the owner of Heights of Health, has some suggestions you may have never even considered. Put a diode on your cell phones and laptops to block the EMFs or electronic magnetic frequencies. Use a headset, not a Bluetooth, for your cell phone. Never use plastic bowls or plastic wrap in your microwave. The plastic can leach into your foods. Always use BPA-free plastic. Don't use plastic utensils when cooking. Again, the plastic leaches into food. Don't put a plastic lid on your coffee. It heats up. Avoid Teflon coatings on your pan. It can flake off into your food. And don't get household cleaning chemicals on your hands or body. Use all-natural lawn care. Buy a home water purifier, and don't drink bottled water when possible because often it's stored in high heated areas and the plastic can leach into the water. That's also a reminder for those of us here in the Houston area, don't store your bottled water in the garage during the summer. And finally, avoid steam in the bag meals. Instead, remove food from that bag and steam it yourself.